CaliKidOfficial.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the CaliKidOfficial Podcast. I believe this is episode number 13, so let's get right into it. So over the past week, we had another round of versus battles. This time we had DJ Premier facing off against RZA of the Wu-Tang. And it was a pretty interesting affair. They both were playing, some old school records. Some of the records I was familiar with. Like, they played some Nas records. They played some J records. They played some Wu-Tang records. But for the most part, it was like a trip back in time. The only thing that I didn't like is like the sound is still kind of like iffy for when certain people get on. That's the only thing that I think that needs to be fixed. But I believe like after this quarantine is over, as I was saying, like when this first took off, this is going to turn into a full-fledged production, which is why in the comments section you saw a lot of different media sources in there, because they was basically foaming at the mouth of about the amount of money that could be made. So you saw people like Netflix, you saw Vice, Hot New Hip Hop, Sports Center, all types of different media sources. So I'm pretty sure that once things go back to normal, this is going to be like a full-fledged production. The sound quality is going to be better. The sharpness of the picture is going to be better. But the battle was pretty cool. I couldn't really give like a consensus winner because of some of the records I wasn't really familiar with. But overall, it was a pretty dope experience. But like some of the people in the comment section, it was wild. And like one person said, I got robbed to this song, like when a certain song was playing. And then another person said, this song was playing when my mother robbed Walmart. Like, yo, like, guys, this was tweaking out. And then Pusha T on one of the songs, he said, this song got me in trouble. And then some people kept saying people wasn't coming outside when this song was on, because things was hot in the 90s and 80s and whatnot. But overall, it was a pretty dope battle. And then the next round of who should face off with each other, the names 50 Cent and Ja Rule, was floated into the air. And if you know the history between them two, the odds of that happening is pretty much zero. And that was pretty much confirmed with 50 Cent responding with a meme basically showing Ja Rule holding up a homeless sign saying looking for attention, and then on the side it says Murder Inc. And then Ja is basically like, oh, you scared or whatever. So Hot 97 did like a little mock battle between them, and it pretty much wasn't close. Yeah, Ja, he had hits and stuff, but most of his big songs is him standing next to somebody, similar to how French Montana, his big records is him standing next to somebody. But when they did play the songs back to back, his songs wasn't hitting as hard as 50 Cent. 50 Cent got cataloged, so that was pretty much a wash. Ja got wind of that, and he said, oh, that was cute or whatever. But yeah, the odds of them getting into on Instagram Live to do battle was never going to happen. 50 Cent exercises that 50 laws of power thing, so he ain't gonna never let up on him. And then if they was to get online, it'll probably just be them joking on each other back and forth, and then it could turn into some whole other stuff. So but later today we're gonna get the Babyface versus Teddy Riley face off, which a lot of people have been looking forward to. It got postponed because Babyface had contracted COVID. I believe he was at some party or something, and then like several other people that was attending that party had got it, so he was recovering, which is why it got pushed back. But he said that he and his family has tested negative, so we're gonna get what we've been waiting for. So it's gonna be coming on 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so that'll be 9 p.m. on the East Coast. So it's gonna be a battle of R&B legends. And if you're familiar with Babyface and Teddy Riley, they've pretty much written for everybody you could think of. Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Who else? Usher, TLC, Blackstreet, Guy, Snoop Dogg, Teddy Riley. He's worked with a lot of K-pop groups like EXO and Girls' Generation. But it's gonna be pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure they're gonna play some records that some people might not be familiar with them writing, but I'm looking forward to this. So this is gonna be pretty dope. But moving on from that, I wanted to update you guys with what's going on in terms of this epidemic, some of the side effects or whatever. So apparently some woman out in Florida by the name of Abril cestoni pretty much over Easter weekend delivered some Easter eggs with some adult content in there. So when people open up their mailboxes, I guess they found these Easter eggs in them, and when they open them, there was like little pornographic pamphlets in them. So when this was found out, basically the people found her, and she ended up getting charged with 11 counts of distribution of obscene material and for violating the stay-at-home order. Which, you know, in a time like this, I guess she felt as though she was trying to, you know, liven up people's lives or whatever. But you know, the authorities is going to take this serious, which with these charges, you know, that's crazy. And then the Sicilian Mafia, or the Cosa Nostra, has been stepping in where the Italian government has been lacking. They've been delivering goods and stuff to those in need. But the authority sees this as a way of them trying to both recruit people into their organization and to buy their vote or buy their support for the organization as well. Basically, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, that type of thing. So the authority sees this as a way of them taking advantage. But you also got to look at it like this: if y'all lacking and somebody else can come in and, you know, help out, regardless of, you know, where it's coming from at the time, can't really poo-poo that. They doing a good deed, even though there's probably strings attached to it. But you know, I thought that was pretty interesting. And then them stimulus checks is starting to hit. So the first round of checks then went out to people have been getting the checks. But there's also been some hiccups, especially with them putting Donald's name on the checks as well. That's another 48 laws of power move. And then along with that, people that were getting the checks back, instead of them going into the people's accounts, they was going to the people that prepared them. So that's a whole another thing. So, you know, a lot of things has been shaken. And then Trump cut funds to the World Health Organization, which, you know, some people sees this as a bad thing and some people see it as a good thing. So the whole thing around it is he's basically feels as though they didn't do their job, because when they went over to China, they didn't like really investigate it to let people know. So, and he feels as though if the world knew about the situation more in China, then things could have been contained much better and not as many people would have died from the disease. So let's look at it, what he was saying. He says, I'm directing my administration to halt funding while a review is conducted to assess the World Health Organization's role in severely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus, which China was doing. They weren't very forthcoming with, you know, the severity of it. And you see them distancing themselves, I guess, right here. It says, according to BBC, Trump accused the UN of covering up and mishandling the spread of the virus after it emerged in China. The UN's chief responded that this was not the time to cut funds to who. Bill Gates waiting on Trump's decision. Bill Gates, he's actually the second largest funder of the organization. So of course he's gonna, you know, feel some type of way. That along with him, you know, pushing his vaccine agenda on people. It's like, how you pushing vaccines on people and yet you don't vaccinate yourself or your family? That's kind of strange. But moving on, he says, Bill Gates says, halting funding for the World Health Organization during the World Health Crisis is dangerous as it sounds. Trump believes the outbreak could have been contained if WHO had done their job properly and allowed medical experts to assess the situation in China as it was unfolding. Had the WHO done its job to get medical experts into China to objectively assess the situation on the ground and to call out China's lack of transparency, which is true. China isn't very forthcoming in terms of a lot of things, so that's actually a pretty accurate synopsis of the situation. The outbreak could have been contained at its source with very little death, he told reporters. This would have saved thousands of lives and avoided worldwide economic damage. Instead, the WHO willingly took China's assurances to face value and defended the actions of the Chinese government. WHO experts were reportedly only allowed to visit China once, February 10th, to investigate, and by that time the country yeah, that's too late, because this been going on since last year. That's why it's called COVID-19, because the outbreak started last year. They should have been allowed to assess the situation as soon as it happened, not, what is that, like 2 months later? 3 months later? On January 14th, WHO tweeted that Chinese investigations found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission. I mean, most viruses, I'm pretty sure a lot of viruses you can transfer from human to human, so that's kind of weird, I guess. Alright, Hilton says you can transfer, if someone has flu-like symptoms and they coughing and sneezing on you, you can catch that too. So it's kind of weird. But a week after that tweet, WHO released a public statement that human-to-human transmission did appear to be taking place in Wuhan. Administrative officials have been aggressively accusing WHO did not take the proper steps in handling the pandemic, saying WHO was biased towards China. I mean, if you was only allowed over there one time and then you took someone's assurances at face value instead of you actually going in and coming up with a determination yourself, that does scream bias. So despite the WHO's potential malfunctions in the early days of the pandemic, public health experts feel defunding an organization in the middle of a pandemic is far from a smart move. I bet they do, but doing that is pretty much going to light a fire under their ass and not to do something like that again, because you got all these people pouring money into something, and then you just got people just haphazardly not doing their job. So yeah, it's bad that he defunded it, but why didn't you guys do your own investigation, or at least a thorough one, so everybody in the world can actually know what's going on and not just take the words of one person? So that's kind of crazy. And then moving on, so as you know, some of the prisoners have been being released from prison due to this epidemic, specifically people with pre-existing conditions, like asthma, bronchitis, stuff like that. So this guy by the name of Joseph Williams was released from jail after being arrested on drug charges, but within 24 hours he's now back in there on murder charges, which is crazy. It's like, I don't know if he did it, but if he did, it's like, dude, why would you wasted your second chance? It says there is no question Joseph Williams took advantage of this health emergency to commit crimes while he was out of jail. Joseph Williams, 26-year-old, was reportedly arrested back on March 13, faced charges of drug possession 6 days after he was taken because he was released to help hinder the spread of coronavirus. According to authorities, it only took 24 hours to be rearrested as a suspect in a homicide. So he's a suspect, so they don't have definitive proof that he actually did it, but still. Gunshots were heard in a Tampa neighborhood on March 20th. When police arrived, they found a dead man. An investigation led authorities to Joseph Williams, who's now being held without bond. Williams is facing charges of second-degree murder, felon in possession of a firearm, resisting an officer, along with his Yeah, this is just dumb. Like, just saying everybody deserves a second chance, but some people, it's like some people may not need a second chance. If you don't go and do some dumb stuff like that, that's crazy. But it says that he was in jail for a non-violent offense, but then to get out of jail and to go kill somebody, that's kind of crazy. So ain't no telling. It's possible he could did it, it's possible he couldn't did it, or it's possible he could have been in the wrong place at the right time. That is kind of a balancing act. Is like, because this thing is hitting people everywhere. It's hitting people in jails. You got people that's in jail with it, and then they putting everybody with it in the same cell. So, and then the workers, they're not being properly equipped to deal with that. No, the whole thing is pretty much like a clusterfuck if you ask me. Moving on from that, WWE, they've been hit by this as well. They've, in order to save money, they've released several superstars. So first up, we got Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle got released. Rusev, who's married to WWE superstar Lana. Drake Maverick, you might know him as Rockstar Spud from TNA. Zack Ryder, woo woo woo. Kurt Hawkins, which was one half of the Edgeheads. Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, the two members of the OC. So it's kind of interesting, right? They were both in the Boneyard match, and one got choke slammed and one got tombstoned and then left in the Boneyard. So it's kind of symbolic in a way, right? Their time in WWE is over or dead. So it's kind of interesting. Heath Slater, I got kids. Eric Young, Rowan, Sarah Logan, No Way Jose, Mike Chioda, which was a referee, Mike Kanellis, Marie Kanellis. Yeah, they wasn't really used. EC3. Now EC3, that's kind of like a blunder, because it's like he had a pretty good run in TNA, but like when they brought him over to WWE, it was like they didn't use him, and that's kind of like a consistent thing. They bring these superstars over, and then they don't use them, and then they get lost in the shuffle or buried or whatever. It's like, stop hoarding all these superstars because y'all scared of them going elsewhere and being big. In reality, I think they should downsize their roster, so don't have as many people, because it's like it's the same handful of people that's getting those spots. But who else they released? Aiden English, Leo Rush, Primo and Epico. I mean, a lot of these people wasn't even on TV. Some of them were, and then some of them was mismanaged. Like Rusev, that's crazy. So I wonder how that's gonna work with Lana, because this is kind of like a similar situation with Dean Ambrose and his current wife Renee Young. Like, the guy gets released, and then the woman stays, and then eventually the woman retires or whatever. So I wonder how that's gonna work. But I know they're doing this because they're not making any money due to them not having a live audience. So, and then another trickle down effect of this is the XFL going bankrupt. They had to pretty much close shop, which is kind of crazy because like they were just getting off the ground this year, and now being forced to close due to what's going on. So it's like, it's kind of like the XFL is kind of like cursed, because the first time around, similar situation happened, and then the second time around you got this, and now. So it's like all those people that lost their jobs. So it's like, wow, what are they gonna do? People are still recovering. The recovery rate is still higher than the death rate. So that's pretty important. Several places is extending their quarantine period up until May. I think what they're doing is they're doing it in increments, not to scare society or whatever. So they're just doing it in increments. You got people talking about, this might have to last until 2021 or 2022. Like, people ain't staying in a house for no 2 years. People still gotta pay bills and everything else. So what's gonna have to happen is the government is gonna be responsible for paying everybody bills and stuff. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but that's kind of crazy. And we also got the last couple of episodes of Quarantine Radio, pretty much the hottest thing on Instagram and on the internet right now. You get several different celebrities start dropping through on Tory Lane's Instagram Live. You get different type of music, people dancing and doing different showing off their talents. So on the 15th, we got a couple of people on there. Lil Mo stopped through. 6ix9ine, he came in the comments trolling, talking about, if you don't play my song, I'm gonna snitch on you. Like, dude be trolling. That's just crazy. But who else we had on there? Between the 14th and the 16th, Raven Simone, she was on there. Alexis Texas, Fabolous, Diddy, 2 Chainz, Pretty sure some other people, but it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. Like this guy in Australia, he took his bike and he did a front flip off his roof with the bike into a swimming pool, which was crazy. And then you had Little Mo and her son basically do like a duet singing performance, which is pretty dope. But this was pretty much the last round of quarantine radio. Basically, if things are lifted, it's gonna be the end. But if not, it's gonna be about a week or so until the next round. So if you haven't seen it, you could pretty much pull up the video clips on YouTube, unless of course they were deleted or whatever, because it is some raunchy material in there. But speaking of 6ix9ine, a question was posed by producer cashmoneyap whether or not people would work with him. I look at it like this: if you're not from the street life or whatever, I don't see why it would be a problem. And even then, the situation that he was in, most people would do what he had did. It's like, how do you expect somebody to be loyal or stay down with people who were plotting his demise, actively plotting his demise? Like, that's kind of crazy to me. But you already had a couple of people already say they ain't gonna work with him, like Bad Bunny, Lil Mosey or whatever. But when it comes to business, you gotta do what you gotta do. We'll see what happens once he starts releasing music, because based off of his new agreement, he's working on both an English and a Spanish album. So that's going to be pretty interesting. That's going to be pretty interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if what's her name, K Michelle, worked with him, because she was cheering for him to get out. So, but we'll just have to see with that. And apparently we got a reignited beef. If you guys aren't familiar, OT Genasis did like a kind of like a spoof of one of Keyshia Cole's songs, and it kind of turned into this whole thing where she got mad because she felt as though how am I going to even get paid off of this? But in reality, he didn't make any money off of it. So it pretty much spiraled into a whole new thing. Now you got families involved and stuff. Yeah, the beef going out, Keisha have become involved. Yeah, the sisters is what ignited it. Oh, it says things seem to have simmered down until Keyshia said she will vote for 21 Savage in an R&B battle between the Atlanta rapper and OT Genasis, because 21 was going on live singing R&B songs and stuff. Then it says things kicked off later when OT made comments about Keyshia's private area. He would later claim that he was just joking and things were going too far. But Keyshia's sisters got involved. Then he started joking on it. Mom talked to him about, I used to sell a whole bunch of dope to your mom back in the day, or something crazy like that. And then Elite Noel, I think that's the brother. Hey OT, you say you don't like street bees and hoes and drug addicts, but your baby mama been sucking dick in and out of Hollywood Hills for decades. Black dick, white dick, small dick, big dick, skinny dick, Jesus. And popping pills like they Tylenol. She wrote on Instagram on the side of Flo Malika and her newborn son. I want all the smoke about my mama, and since I can't catch them, you gotta take the licks, Malika. And it's not about Keisha nor Neff, because they can handle their own, but my mama, but that's not with me. All bets are off. Yeah, because if you used to watch their show back in the day, it basically highlighted, her struggles with addiction and stuff like that. So this whole thing is pretty much turned into a shit show. It was funny at first to me only because I had my mother see me. The whole remix fit his character. He's slow. Y'all always make slow MFers famous. Me personally would have took it as a joke and kept it pushing. It was even cool when he tried to handle Neff in a disrespectful manner. She under her own. But when you get to posting pictures of my mama giggling about selling her something that could have possibly killed her 1,000,000 times, that hit our hearts. Shit ain't funny no more. Hold up, let me see something. Because there was a video of him talking about this, so I want to pull that up. Unless they took it down. Yep, they took it down. Oh well. But basically the video that I was going to try to show you is basically OT basically talking about the entire situation. And how he said, it's serious now, you talking about my son and all this type of stuff. So he basically went in. So ain't no telling what this is gonna lead to, but the brother wants to get at it with OT. You know, OT is affiliated, so I don't think people wanna go there. So I think they should leave that alone. But we got some new music coming. So Big Sean announced that Detroit 2, despite what's going on, is going to be coming out. If you're not familiar, Detroit was pretty much his breakout project, probably still his best project that he's put out thus far. So that's some good news. And then Dababy dropped Blame It on Baby on Friday, so you guys can check that out. He put out this promo material for it, which is pretty funny. They basically did like one of those insurance commercial spoofs where it's like, if such and such happened to you, call this number. But they did it in the essence of, oh, if X happened to you, blame it on Baby. So you had a whole bunch of different people on there wilding, talking about, my parents got divorced thanks to Baby. But the whole thing was pretty funny. And then we got a new movie that's going to be coming out. Tom Hardy is going to be playing Al Capone, and it's set to come out on May 12th. So I wanted to pull up the trailer. I might have to, let's see, if there ain't no music in there, I won't have to mute it. But there is music. Let's see.
How about it for our good friend Al, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, there's some music in there, so I'm gonna have to mute that. America's Most Notorious Gangster. Yeah, Al Capone, raised in New York, made his mark in Chicago, and the only reason why he got taken down is because he didn't pay taxes. So they sent him out to Alcatraz and all that other stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
I can drop it.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Yeah. Ooh, shit. That's good. That's gonna be crazy. It's good though that they are releasing new movies, because it's like, you know, for some studios it's kind of like a no-go because they pretty much had to cease production in terms of movies, but some people already had stuff lined up to go, so that's pretty cool. I've been watching all types of different movies. I just got finished watching this movie called Invisible Man. That shit was crazy. If you guys haven't seen that, check that out. But that's pretty much going to do it for this week's podcast. I appreciate you all for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you guys check out my new album, Euphoria. There will be a link to that in the description. There's also some merchandise for that as well in the description. So that's going to pretty much do it. Make sure you guys take care of yourself. And until the next one, peace.